other guys, including some of your friends and family, they were not very receptive to you writing this book because they thought that you were going to reveal some of their real life bad boy gameplay and tactics because, before they were ready and because they were still using them. So did you take that into account when you were writing your book?
I did. I mean, because a lot of my close friends, they were still... See, other books that were written out there didn't really threaten them. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, it hit the surface on things, but it didn't really threaten women being aware of the games they played. Because a lot of the men that do certain things, there wasn't a name to attach to them. Now I'm able to categorize each man, each behavioral pattern, each characteristic. So it makes it more easier for a woman to pinpoint. So when they read this book and they found out that real men were coming forward, and that real men were going to start spilling the details, that's what really got them some apprehension, because they said, hey, if women read this book, it will change the game up. And it will. I mean, it just will. There's no doubt about it.
So I'm curious as well. When you were deciding to really go for it and write your book, did you think this type of book is long overdue and I need to do it, because you just wanted to be truthful as well, and obviously you knew that you wanted to have real men telling their real stories? Yeah,
I knew it was overdue, and I was actually shocked, Avani, that no other book like this was written. I was pretty shocked. So when I did the research and saw that there weren't any other books, there were plenty of relationship books from women, from men, but there was never a book where you had the men that fit these characteristics saying cradle to grave what they do, and then at the end of each chapter giving women themselves the tips on how to catch them. I mean, you just there was never anything out there like this. So, but I see why, because it was so hard to get the book written.
That's a long time to be interviewing people and the going back and forth and getting people to actually sit down and making sure that they're really being candid, because like you said, other books that you've heard about, they didn't even really scratch the surface. They were sort of like and you just think, well, look, if you're going to do it, just do it properly, and just do the damn thing, as people say, because there's no point otherwise. It just gets a little, people read it, people might have read a book like those others hoping that they would start to get help and get the answers, and they would always come away disappointed because they're only getting what they already know, and it's not giving them the next stages, because it's stages, isn't it, and telling them, right, once you get to here, this is when you need to start stepping up your game. You need to move away from this and this. If you see this, run for the hills. If you hear that, tell them to take a hike. That's the thing that people want. When people hear about a book like your book, that's what they want. They want you to be honest. They want the writer, the author, to be honest, and they want the people who are featured in it. They want the real nitty gritty, as we call it over here. They want the real. They don't want all this hiding it behind. Because if you advertise it as one thing, then if they read it and they think it's something else, it's gonna be like, he said he was gonna really get in. That's why I wanted to read it, because I need help.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure my listeners want to know, because they're going to get me if I don't ask you this. Do you have any personal experience, either of meeting people like this, because your 6 examples of the types of people to avoid. So, or do you have close family members or friends who have gone through these types of experiences in their relationships?
Oh, absolutely. Every woman has run into these men multiple times. So, I have friends that fit these characteristics. I've been one of these men in the past before I was married. I've had female sister friends. Cause it's unavoidable. So, like I said, if you're unhappy and you're single, or even if you're married and you're frustrated, you're running into one of these guys. Ooh. It's just that simple.
Oh my God, but isn't that going to be even harder if you're married? Because it's like, okay, hello, I already married him.
Yeah. See, one thing I've learned with relationships is that these things that come out during the relationship, they weren't surprises. A lot of people tend to turn a blind eye to some things. They make it. Women have the tendency to make excuses for our excuses. They give us something I call in my book the benefit of the doubt theory, meaning that they say, well, maybe that's okay, or maybe that's the first time, or even their girlfriends say, or maybe he won't do that again, or maybe it is what he says it is. They give us the benefit of the doubt, and giving men the benefit of the doubt is what keeps our deception in business. And so So there are a number of women that are running into these men. I mean, every day.
Oh my God! See, now that's not good. Because it's bad enough if you're running into that type of person every day, and you're single, or maybe you're in a relationship, and these are the things that are happening to you. But like I just said, what are you gonna do if you've married him, Colin? What are you gonna do? And you realize too late.
Well, that it's kind of like a job. It's you've been in a job and you finally realize that I've been grossly underpaid. You got a decision to make, and so that's the thing. Because I've had one person, the woman was starting to grow and get stronger and get healthier, but the husband stayed the same. So there was a problem. Just like to use the weight loss analogy, if she decided, I want to live a healthier lifestyle, but he's still eating fried food. There's a disconnect. But again, I'm just trying to help women understand that men, we are so simple. We are so simple. Women just complicate us, but we're very simple. I always tell women.
Wait, Colin, you can't do this to me. You can't say that men are so simple when I have women out here shouting at me on listening to this now. They're like, oh, please. How is he going to say it's so simple when we're so stressed all the time? It's so simple.
I'll tell you this. The first rule of thumb when you're dealing with a man is listen to what we do, not what we say.
Ooh.
Our actions tell you everything. Women tend to avoid what our actions are saying, and they listen to the words we say. Our actions will tell you everything. That's number one. Number two, here's a simple, easy way to know if a man is interested in you. You follow this rule of thumb, it will save your world of heartache. All right. If a man is truly interested in you, there will be no question. You won't have to ask your friends, your family. You won't have to ask me on the internet. There will be no question. Because when a man is serious, he doesn't want to take the time and waste time of another man figuring out what he has. Because if he's not serious, that gives you the excuse to say, let me wander around. So here's an example I give women. Every woman out here has had a man that has liked them, but for whatever reason, the feelings were mutual. Maybe you didn't find him attractive. Maybe you just didn't have that it factor, what have you. But the question I ask you is, did you have to guess and wonder if he liked you? No. There was no question.
No, that's right. You knew.
No question. You knew. Yeah. So the problem is, when a man is not making it crystal clear, that's what we call those mixed signals. The problem is women try to rationalize and make sense out of the mixed signals. The mixed signals are the answer. That's the answer.
Like you just said it right. We knew, but like you said, we may not have been attracted or interested, but we did not worry about whether he liked us.
Yeah, because he made it crystal clear.
Yeah.
So I give you that example to show you that men, here's the thing. Men, we know what to do. We know how to be faithful. We know how to be committed. We know how to call when we're supposed to call. We know how to be caring and to be attentive. Men simply decide who they want to treat right and who they want to treat wrong. It's that simple. It's that simple. You know what to do. You know what to do.
So basically, when a woman has said, I had to train my man, I had to train my husband or whatever, that ain't really the truth, is it? Because he really wants to do it.
No, you may have to train him on your love language, like instead of words of affirmation, it may be touch. I mean, that I understand. But the basic do's and don'ts, unless he's 17 years old, the basic do's and don'ts, he has had enough trial and error to know, if I do this, a woman doesn't like this. If I do this, a woman does like this. I had a lady literally an hour before you and I were talking. She was dealing with a guy, wasn't calling her. He was giving her all these excuses. And I simply said, do you think if he was dating Beyonce Knowles, do you think he wouldn't be calling her?
But you must have made her feel a bit bad, though.
Beyonce.
Everyone's going to be Beyonce.
Well, what I'm trying to make her understand is you need to find a man that treats you like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was trying to make her understand is he knows what to do. You're giving him all these excuses. You're taking it. He knows what to do. If you were dating someone of that caliber, he's going to pick up the phone. He's just choosing not to treat you right because he knows he can.
Oh my goodness, people, you have got to take heed of what my special guest is saying this afternoon. Wow. You know, I have a lot of questions for you. You know this, right, Colin? We are about to take a short break because, you know, I have to do it. Oh, but wow. Please stay right where you are. We will be right back on the other side after this.
This is Colin Tate, author of the book Is This Your Man, aka The Relationship Lifeguard. You're on listening now with the Ask Avani Show.
It's time I do something for me.
Good afternoon and welcome back. You are tuned in right here to the ASK AVANI Show on SoMetro Radio. Ooh, this afternoon I have a very special guest. I've just been speaking to him, the relationship lifeguard, also a coach, speaker, and author of the book Is This Your Man, Colin Tate. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. We were just, oh my God, before the break, it was crazy. And I know my listeners are sitting there thinking, wow, you're just giving us life with this, because like I said, it's unusual to get a man who's going to tell us, you know, the real, or not just a man, but in your book, as you have been saying, you have a collection of men who have come forward and been very candid and, you know, decided that they wanted to tell their stories. Obviously, their anonymity has been assured. But I just want to know, because before the break, you were telling us, and I'm curious, what has been the overall reaction from women who have read your book?
You know, a lot of women were shocked at what they read. They were upset, and I prepare you for it. Some of the things in this book are going to shock you. It's going to upset you because you're reading what we talk about behind the veil. You know, it's so funny when my friends come into town to visit, and we're talking. And my wife's in the room. They always look at me to say, "Hey, like, is this okay to have this conversation?" Because and I say, "Hey, be as candid as you want to be." So my wife is now seeing how even the guys that she thought, which they are nice guys, but she's just seeing how men really talk. Yeah. And, you know, there are a lot of great guys out there, you know, so it's this book will just alleviate a lot of time wasting. And that's the key. That's the key. I mean, who wants to be with a guy for 6 months when you could have found something out in a month? Or some women I've known for 6 years dating a guy. Because here's the thing. Dating is like playing a card game. When you go out on a date, he puts a card down, you put a card down. The next date, you put another card down, he puts a card down. The third date is the problem. You're still putting cards on the table, but he stopped. So if you would have waited, you would have seen the next card he was going to play was, "I just want to have sex with you." Or the next card he would have played was, "I'm still in a relationship, but you don't know it." Time will reveal every man's true intentions. Time will reveal every man's true intentions.
I have to ask you this then. Okay, let's do it. Let's just get to it. You just said that, you know, say for, you know, they meet and, okay, let me put it like this. How about if they both attracted to each other and they both want to have the sex? So, you know, because they're both at that moment in time on a fun trip and they're not looking towards the relationship bit going down the line. So how is it going to be when, like you said, day 2, for example, if they both fell into bed consensually, they were both happy, it was on. So what's it going to be like on day 3 when she realizes, for example, that he decided to just head out because he's not putting down any more cards, and she was hoping that they might be able to keep doing this?
Well, what women have to realize, sex is not going to hold us. Sex is not going to hold it. You may get a man with sex, you're not going to keep us with sex. I mean, this day and age, if a man's in his mid-20s or even not even mid-20s, in his teens, I mean, he's had a number of experiences that it's not too much you're going to surprise us with. And even if you do, it's not going to keep us. It may keep us for a few nights. It may keep us to coming over at certain times of night, but it's not going to keep us in terms of a relationship. So that's why I say you have to wait and see what cards he's going to play. Because if he wants sex, men who want sex, conversation of sex is going to come up within the first week or two. Point blank, period. You know, he's not going to sit there and date you for 3 months if sex is his number one priority. Don't get me wrong, man, we still want sex, but when a man is serious about you, it's not his number one priority, because we've been there, done that. I mean, before I met my wife, I was turning down sex more than I was getting it. So sex, and it's not to be braggadocious. That's just how men are. Sex, you know, we don't need the emotional connection that most women do to sleep with you. We don't need that. So